This is lesson 221, if you want to take a look at it. Or if you need a copy of the lesson, just let Darren know. Okay. I think Ron and Jonathan need one up here. 221. This lesson is just so beautiful. You know, I've said before, we need to have our repertoire, our problem-solving repertoire. The Course says, you know, that so many of the lessons you need to create your own problem-solving repertoire, it says. And to me, this is one of mine. I've always loved this workbook lesson. Doug, one of my top 365. Yeah, really, it's really a high one on my list. I use this a lot whenever I don't feel good, whenever I'm in conflict. This one just pops into my mind. Peace to my mind, let all my thoughts be still. And I think really it's a very simple one, but to me, it really is the answer to the world. It is, like I say so many times, we wonder what we can do for somebody, or we wonder what we can do for the world, or we watch the news and we don't know what we can do, and we want to figure out what we can do. We're always trying to figure out what we can do. Well, this is what we're asked to do, which is undo. And so holding that space of peace is so very important. I was listening to the NPR today, and they were saying in South Korea, there's an outbreak of MERS. MERS, I think it is MERS, there you go. What is it again? Middle Eastern respiratory MERS, anyway. And so they had an outbreak of it, and they had to isolate this one village where they think it has come from. And this one woman didn't realize she was infected, and so she went to see a neighbor, and then the neighbor got infected, and so they isolated this village. And the NPR was talking to a monk there, and they said, you know, I don't know why they picked a Buddhist monk to talk to, and had some little thing about it, and then they said, well, what do you think about, and what they're doing now is they're isolating the village and also monitoring people's phones. So if they walk somewhere, they know where they're at. So they said, and it's all with permission of the people because they don't want this to spread. And the monk, they asked the monk, they said, so how do you feel about that? He says, well, I think we should just relax and do what's asked of us and everything will be fine. As opposed to people getting all upset by somebody's watching me and monitoring me. He says, this makes sense. And he says, it's all going to be fine. And they said, only a Buddhist monk would just be cool like that. And I just thought to myself, no, you can be cool like that too. You know, we're all cool Buddhist monks. I mean, we're cool, we're cool Western people, you know, because nobody thinks we in the West are cool like that. We're stressed, we're, you know, the next best thing. We're the iPhone generation, the iPad, the iWatch, the whatever thing, you know, we want the next cool thing. But I think we're pretty chill, you know. I think we can do this, and that to me what this lesson is about, is teaching us that in the midst of the fray of the world, that we become this place of peace. And nobody needs to know. I mean, you don't have to say, by the way, when things get crazy, I'm going to be like peace. You know, they'll know it because you will be it. And that's what this lesson's about. Very simple, isn't it? But didn't it really just resonate in you? I mean, I can't say those words and not feel relaxed. I think I'll just go take a nap right now, you know what I mean? But I mean, peace to my mind. Let all my thoughts be still. And you know, it's simple, it sounds kind of benign, but it's commanding. You are saying, you are commanding that mind that you think you have no control over, and yet you have great control over it. You are saying to it, you know, there's that great workbook lesson that says, I have a kingdom, I must rule. At times it does not seem I am its king at all. It seems to triumph over me. That's what it's talking about, your mind. You think this thing, and doesn't it? You can just get on something and just go down the road in crazy fear or anger or attack or judgment or thinking what somebody thought, and then you think that, and you think, I know what they're thinking, and blah, 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 and you're, 20 years ahead of yourself. This one's saying you have the ability to command that mind, that thing you think you have no control over, that kingdom you think you have no control over, by saying, peace to my mind. Let all my thoughts be still, and let them quiet. It's, to me, what Jesus probably said to those oceans that were, raucous when he was on. Remember when he had gone out fishing, I think it was with Peter, right? He went out fishing with him and he fell asleep. He always falls asleep at the most inopportune times, and then crazy stuff happens. Falls asleep, and what happened? The storm comes, and they do what? They get greatly afraid. They're always greatly afraid in the Bible. Have you noticed that? Angels come, we're greatly afraid. Storms come, we're greatly afraid, even though you have the Christ with you. They're greatly afraid. So it should be good metaphors for us. What do we do when crazy stuff happens? Do we go, peace to my mind, let all my thoughts be still, or do we get greatly afraid? We have a knee-jerk reaction to get greatly afraid, and yet who sails with you all the time? We just don't know it. Well, the lucky thing about the stories of the Bible is Jesus usually woke up and then did something, right? So he wakes up, and what does he say? They're all afraid. Lord, Lord, save us. What does he do? This? So he says, peace, be still, right? He calms the ocean. He calms the storm. A metaphor that the simple thought that you can command the craziness of the world can happen. Peace to my mind. Let all my thoughts be still. I always think of that story of the Bible, that we have the ability to command the storms of life. You have to believe you have that strength. It is not because of you, little you. It is because of the mighty you. And you need to start claiming that. We need to start claiming that.